To the 8th Unity Celebration here at Lynn Benson Community College. I did not pay Cherise to do that. I want to give you a little bit of background on the particular celebration and why we're all here together. Back in 2009, Dana Emerson, Annalie Fuentes, Robin Habenik, and Gary Westford started this event as a way to bring people together and to honor uniqueness, diversity, multiculturalism, togetherness, and social justice. They saw a need back then in 2009 for LBCC to do something along the lines of unity and bringing folks in community. We all have a common purpose here, is to see our students succeed. And they wanted to honor that work as a collective in a way in which was uplifting and also challenging for the people who are working here as well. So they did that and created this particular event back in 2009. So I actually appreciate the fact that those folks put in the effort to do something that we're actually still continuing on today. As the story goes, they brought together poets, artists, community to celebrate as a one constituency. As you can see, we set up the room a little bit different so we can actually pay homage to that, where we actually have art all around the room today. You have a quilt here that was done by our own Barbara Bessie. She designed that quilt out of flags that we had in the Diversity Achievement Center and the Department of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And I encourage you to check it out. It's one of the most interesting kind of examples of art that you can find on campus, I think, because it's such a live tapestry of who exists here as our international students, English language learners, undocumented students, and the like. In the back, Gary donated some art as well. Thank you, Gary, for that. Appreciate that. That's a piece that we've had here on campus for how long, Gary? Couple years. So if you want to check that out, I encourage you to do so. Please be careful, mindful, because it is leaned up against the wall. Don't knock it over. It's kind of expensive, so don't do that. And if not, Gary will go put you in an arm lock because he's the wrestler today. So, retired wrestler. So we also have this really awesome piece here in honor of the women of Juarez. That actual piece is a representative, an amalgamation of pennies for each woman that has been disappeared in Juarez, Mexico, right over the border of El Paso, Texas. And they consider themselves sister cities. If you haven't been down there, it's really, really hot. And it is really hot down in El Paso. It's super hot, actually. I don't like going there. But that piece is actually kind of an intense kind of looking at their representation using pennies in that particular way and that model. And right here to our right, we have the graphic images of We the People, symbolizing unity as a tapestry of who we are as a multicultural nation. Right? So I encourage you to check out these pieces of art as you go around and enjoying the evening as we go as well. I want to acknowledge the Unity Planning Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Values, Inclusion, and Civic Engagement Council. If you would not mind waving, standing up real quick. Hold on, I'll call you off by name and you can do that. Because I honestly believe we actually set this room up in about an hour and 15 minutes time, which was pretty awesome because we had such a large planning group. So, sweat equity works. Alyssa Campbell, Amanda Stanley, Barb Horn, Kate Morgan, Christopher Mickelson, Elizabeth Lang, Felicia Soderson Calderon, Jane Sandberg, Jessica Sandoval, John Jarsky, Kiwi Gilbert, Kevin Peña, Kim Damon, Kim Sullivan, Maria Solis Camarena, Miriam Edel, Raven Womack, Cherise Bunn, and Tina Marie Ivy.
Wow.
Everyone. Please honored that actually we had such a large planning committee. It was really easy work for me this year because I didn't have to pull any teeth on actually having to delegate anything because people wanted to do it. So thank you very much to everybody for doing it. I also want to acknowledge special thanks to our culinary arts program. Chef Andrew, thank you. The food here is off the chain. It is off the chain. And when we were bothering him for a menu, he goes, no, I'm still working on it. Give me some time. So John was just like, don't pressure him. He's an artist. So we want to make sure he had the right time to do it. So you can thank Chef when you get the chance to, because he and his team with John, who also donated the spirits that you're enjoying as well, deserve a round of applause as well. Media Services, Whit Hamilton is really an under-recognized person. He's overutilized and under-recognized. I gotta be honest. He actually makes our department, our events go off very well, our audio and whatnot. So when you see Whit, give him an attaboy, if you will. And as I mentioned before, John Jarsky for providing finding the spirits for us to enjoy for the evening. So the program consists, and you have it in front of you, but just to give you an idea, we're going to have the Poetry Club come up here in a couple of seconds. We will have speaker Erica Fuller, a graduate student from Oregon State University, coming in to provide some words for us. There's Erica. And then we'll get into the reception for the recipients of our awards that everybody came here to honor, the folks who have been nominated as well. And then we'll have some closing remarks after that. And in between there, enjoy the art and enjoy the spirits. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and call up the Poetry Club. Tanya Mendez, I believe is going to lead us out. Is it Tanya Mendez? Yes, Tanya Mendez. Thank you very much. Welcome to the annual Leadership Club. Whatever you want.
There's plenty of seating over here. Trying to go
Hi everyone. My voice sounds a little weird because I lost my voice yesterday, so it might squeak. I'm sorry. And so I guess we're going to give a little short intros about our poems. I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about when I wrote this poem. I wrote this poem for a class assignment back in November, and if you guys remember, some things were going around in November, and people dealt with it, whatever way you want to see it. People dealt with it different ways, and I decided to write a poem about things that I saw in my personal life, and I just wrote this poem to give people a voice that I felt didn't have a voice. So, but I think the poem speaks for itself, so that's all I'm just going to say. Okay. This poem is called 1929. I am the forgotten, the unknown. Not necessarily because I want to be, but because you have never heard of me. I am the product of unread clauses and broken promises. When America learned to become an opportunist and attacked from the north after España had attacked by the sea, tell me, when did it become America's way to knock someone to the ground when they were already on their knees? I am what your textbooks leave out, what people try to erase and what officials left no records of. I was hidden behind words like voluntary, illegal, slightly pressured. I was a problem, a scapegoat. To the Great Depression facing my own country, jobs only fit for my kind were suddenly wanted, and a white American had first priority. Mexican Repatriation Act, they called it. But repatriation is to return someone to their country of origin. But return where? My people have lived here for ages, been practicing assimilation for generations, and coercion is not voluntary. English had become my first language, but they pretended like they didn't understand me when they forced me onto a bus to cross the Rio Grande into a country that I did not know much about. The color of my skin made me who I was, and my title failed me. Not even a chance to say goodbye did they give me. My family left at home, wondering where I could be. Left isolated in a country who did not want me and could not provide for me, forbidden from returning even though I was American. They made sure not to leave a trace, as my children were turned away all the same. Ni de aquí, ni de allá, we became lonely wanderers without a place to feel at home. Too Mexican for the Americans and too American for the Mexicans become a fucked up cycle. One that we have not been able to escape. Those who do not know our history or pretend it didn't happen will tell you that there is nothing to worry. That your fear is irrational, that mass deportation is impossible. It'll never happen to you. Only those who willingly want to go will go, or only those who have committed a crime will go. My country will never do that to you. All at the same time forgetting that this has been our country too, and that those words were uttered to my people less than 100 years ago. We shield people away from the truth. Too embarrassed by our mistakes, we turn away and hope it goes away. It's no reason we have ended up right back here. To the beginning. Scapegoats once more, but our voices forgotten never again. I totally forgot how to introduce the next poet. The next poet is going to be Emma Golden. Thanks.
Hello. So I wrote this poem in honor of Frederick Douglass, who escaped from slavery and became an abolitionist and a writer. For Frederick Douglass. Eat this book, he says, as we sit at the long table with the pages of narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, written by himself, arrayed before us in the center of the great library, where the shelves with stacks of books stretch to the sky. Eat this book, he says, as I put knife and fork to page, and carve out a word to place on my tongue, to let myself savor the taste of this sweet fruit, to chew with my teeth, to swallow it, incorporate it into my flesh, to feel how liberty grows in the fat of the brain, how abolition contracts in the fibers of the muscles, how freedom calcifies in the bones till it can carry the weight of this man out of bondage and into a life where he will one day write this sustaining feast. Christopher Mickelson is our next poet.
So a short introduction to poetry culture. This is applause. This is for in the moments of poetry or after a poem. If you hear us snapping back here, it doesn't mean speed up, it means I hear you. Yeah, I feel you. Another introduction to the world of poetry is, in this space we use our voices for survival, for nourishment, and that includes, in this space of unity, remembering the things that we are unified for and the things we are unified against. So, without any further ado, golden ticket. I got lucky. 26 years ago when I was born into this skin, I did not know it then, but I could count on creamy, milky saccharin to buoy me along aqueducts built for anyone else to drown in. I got lucky when X and Y meant I never had to ask why there was glass between me and the sky. Instead, my mama lifted me high and told me I could fly, and I got lucky. The nursery I was brought home to, boarded on another room with 2 incomes, steady as my heartbeat, and at night, nothing but silent light on the street. I got lucky This one time in the middle of a movie, right before she and I left the script behind and started talking in every language we could find, even though we only spoke English, broken Spanish, I guess, and un peu de français because I got lucky. I got lucky because when I leaned in so two lips could make a bouquet, in the rush of everything I wanted to say, the films didn't teach me to ask if that first kiss was okay. I got lucky that she was into it anyway. I got lucky the word no was optionally a part of my listening vocabulary. I got lucky my 911 calls the constabulary, not a kill squad of Klansmen cavalry. I got lucky because I've come to see it was winning a twisted lottery that I was born any time in the last few centuries when white, straight, Protestant-passing cisgender men have a monopoly on equality. As in another 2 or 3, I want to believe that the capital key will become lost amid so many visible, valuable ways to be. In the meantime, I got lucky. And what the literal fuck? Treasuring a human soul should never be up to luck. Next, we'll be hearing from Samantha Guy.
So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. I think this is a really great turnout, and I'm really proud to be a part of this event. So with that being said, microaggression. You never realized you were doing it, and you never realized it was hurtful. Every time you asked me if you could touch my hair, or if my hair was naturally this curly, you never realized it bothered me. Those times you said I looked like I was from Oakland because of how brown I was, I never realized that Oakland was an ethnicity. I never realized we grew up with different color charts. While not even being on the opposite ends of the color spectrum, I never realized I looked that much different. When you pulled me aside in the middle of my shift, my notepad and pen in hand ready to take your order, you never realized you saying that you weren't allowed to act like you know me hurt my feelings. You never knew that I went home and cried that day. You never knew just how different I felt here, how out of place and disrespected, and you never knew I too was also having a bad day. When you came in with your buddies wearing all orange and I said, you people all look the same, you never knew how irritating it was to hear you chuckle. Now what's that supposed to mean? I'll politely always respond with, now how does that feel? Because you people will never actually really know. Every time you've asked me if I was Mexican and I said no, I'm Puerto Rican, Portuguese, and Italian, and your response was, nah, you're Mexican, you never knew just how much I wanted to punch you. Coming from a place where I'm never dark enough, I never thought that I could ever be too dark. Stepping into a world where I don't talk like you, I never know just what to expect. You never knew that your subtle appropriations of other struggles really only ended up leaving your bad taste in our mouths. You never knew that your ignorance could have been fixed with just a little bit of education, and we'd appreciate it if you learned how to think before you spoke. Microaggression. A statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group such as a racial or ethnic minority. Next up we have Seth Pokleba.
Okay, so this is a poem about my continual learning of allyship and the process of starting a movement but being unable to finish it. It's called Till Death Do We Part. For those that started something they knew they could not finish, I praise you for knowing that you would never see the end, but that you knew it would bring about change. Even if you were forgotten, I whisper of you. In my little-known prayers, I talk of you so others may hear your names. I write to you so that you will never be lost. I praise you you who died, who were killed to stop your dream, whose words are defiled and misused, whose wishes have been hurt, whose dreams stayed dreams. I praise you for bringing the turmoil the world needs, for raising us to continue it. I praise you for making my forefathers fear you, for starting the discourse that made them mad. I praise you, Ms. Marsha P., Dr. King, Brother Malcolm, for your willingness to throw a wrench or brick into their society. I praise you, Miss Sylvia Rivera, Miss Mamie Till, Mr. Bayard Rustin. Y'all did too much work to be forgotten. I praise you, those that worked to death and fought to death, to those that survived when my forefathers set fire to everything. I praise you, the names I know and those I do not. For those of you who started something big, I praise you. And I am sorry. That is all I can do on this page. Next up, we have Miss Alyssa Faye.
Last year was my first time doing spoken word at the Unity Celebration, so this year was really cool to be on the committee and to find out yesterday that I'm going to be the room. Yeah, this is for my people. For my people back in that town where ghosts forever haunt corners searching for dope to lift them from this realm because they feel stuck. For my people that keep their lips locked, all they know is gun talk, who don't want to learn the language of peace. For my people addicted to pills, who steal to get meals and don't know how warm water feels. For my people constantly in fear when they see a cop car near, who haven't made it out of that hood and haven't stopped chasing after a high they will never find. For my people who are thankful every day. For my people who didn't make it to see today. For my people who can't see themselves entering a building filled with people they can't relate to, afraid of being judged for their appearance and lack of proper grammar. For my people at those longshore docks and oil refineries, risking their life because the money's right. For my people who walk around with mean mugs and hang around people who don't challenge them. For my people always searching for love outside of themselves. For my people who sit around and wait and wait and wait because their fathers keep telling them tomorrow, and then they wait even longer because he's been locked up. For my people afraid to reach out to their siblings because they've never been a good role model. For my people who want to be a good role model. For my people who look in the mirror and only see those names they were called as a child, forever haunting them, forever taunting them, forever hating themselves. For my people who never think they're good enough. For my people who let themselves be used and put back on a shelf because they would rather be a trophy than stand tall and respect themselves. For my people writing letters back and forth from a cell because they can't get a phone call or anything at all. All they know are four walls. For my people who can't get out of abusive relationships until it almost brings them closer to their last breath after he's wrapped his hands around your neck and everything turns black. For my people who keep their heads up and keep pushing, who don't know what it's like to have someone believe in them. For my people who decide they are the only one who needs to believe in them. For my people getting drunk all night, dancing to music they can't understand, following the latest trends to fit in. For my people who stay at home and trying to create a life plan. For my people who carry the burden of their past on their shoulders and fear that letting go would help lift them from the hell they've created. For my people who would rather burn in hell than face themselves. Let us rise to a higher self. Let us learn how to love ourselves. Let us become someone the younger generation can look up to. Let us break these molds that no longer serve us. Let us try to understand each other. Let us plan together for a better future. Let us study the greats of our past so we can understand how to change our present. Let us show our teachers more respect and give them the praise they deserve. Let us stop making ill-advised people famous. Let us become who we are meant to be. Let us become the change we wish to see. Reached out to get involved with the Portland Women's March when news hit that the NAACP disengaged. Erica is an OSU student and an independent diversity, inclusion, and equity consultant transformational speaker. Her advice to students who want to organize is to make sure you're organizing about something you are passionate about, make sure safety is the #1 concern for you and your protesters, and to make sure you have tough skin due to the negative feedback that will be received along the way. Erica Fuller.
Good afternoon or evening. So real quickly, I thought I would just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Erica Fuller. I am a student at Oregon State University. I am also a community activist and organizer in the city of Portland. I'm an e-campus student for Oregon State. I got involved in student government actually at Mount Hood Community College, so a sister community college to you guys. And ever since then, I have been actively involved, going all the way to Washington, D.C., meeting the president, talking about higher education funding, especially technical funding for our technical programs that we have here within community colleges. I've also advocated for diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just on the campuses that I serve, but on all campuses. And I am working towards being an equity inclusion consultant to help small businesses and nonprofits when it comes to building a structure that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive of all people. And so I got my start, as Alyssa said, at the Women's March because of the NAACP had moved out. At that time, I had just actually moved back home from taking a time for myself, some self-care for myself that I needed in the mental health department. And I immediately got involved knowing that it needed to be said that inclusivity and intersectional feminism is a huge thing that needs to be talked about in all areas. It's not just for people of color, but ableism, sexism, genderism. And one of the things that I really wanted to make sure that was just expressed throughout the march is that this is not just a women's issue, this is a human rights issue. And that is something that we're facing every day. And so one of the things that I did during this march was I spoke about how folks, allies, people of color can come together in unity and really understand the importance of what it is during this movement, because this movement is very powerful and it's not going to go away anytime soon. And I'm happy to be the head charge of that, going into that, especially here in Portland, which I'm sure we can all agree is one of the whitest cities in the country. Continuing on with that, I was asked to give the same speech that I gave during the Women's March. And so I will go down there, and then I put a little tidbit at the end that talks about unity to wrap up the portion of this program for the evening until we get to the nominees and the awardees. So. In order to know where you are going, you need to know where you came from. That is by Ben Fuller, my father. These words, thankfully, were instilled in me and still rings true from a very young age. I'm a daughter of a loving, hardworking Mississippian. He worked to make sure my sister and I had everything we have. I'm also a daughter of an Oregonian whose family was determined that I achieve the education and opportunities both that they were able to achieve and not able to achieve, thus letting me grow up in a very supportive family community. Even though what I have shared with you can be taken as a blessing, not all things are as quite as they seem. I was emotionally bullied by some of my peers from the age of 7 to 18. I was diagnosed with severe depression that have left me aching with suicidal tendencies and lack of belonging outside of my family. By the age of 20, I had a mental illness, inner emotional turmoil, but here I stand before you. I'm alive. Living proof that even with all these things that I have faced, I can still stand before you and say that I'm alive. That being said, being an advocate within Portland and all over the state has been and continues to be quite stressful. In order for us to grow as a nation, we must first bring back a sense of protected community, meaning the oppressed and allies must come together in unity. But before that can happen, we must address the building blocks of oppression that stands very much in the way before us. The first way to break down that barrier was the goal of active listening. My generation, as active and passionate as we can be, still have a lot to learn. Just like the older generations before us, we must actively practice our active listening skills. If we are open to even getting our points across, just like the other way around. Women are the intersectional hub of our society. We are forced to deal with multiple classes of oppression all at the same time. This ranges from able-bodied, gender and racial discrimination, sexual orientation, oppression. These are all things that we have to face. The second thing within the movement we must address in order to solve our views on a very well-known and common issue, I think Audre Lorde said it best. It's not our differences that divide us. It is our inability towards recognizing and accepting and celebrating those differences that we cared for so long. So let's ask ourselves, what do we do to help positively change the movement, but without overlooking the oppression that has manifested itself within the movement, overlooking the oppression that has our white sisters around the issue of race. Gone are the days denying racial and gender depression within our communities. The time of feeling comfortable is over. It needs to both be said and put into action. And that is how our white sisters can help us. Women of color, it's time for us to stand with one another in unity. We shouldn't be pitted against each other. That is what they want us to be. But we must resist. We have to come together and take charge and demand change. By demanding change together, we are more likely to have great success instead of little separate ones. We are more Yes. Lastly, we have to come together as one and actively listen to another without being a person that speaks before we listen. If we do not practice our active listening skills, if our white sisters don't understand the oppression that we are faced, if our women of color don't stand together, we will have repeat of November 2017 in 2018, and that cannot happen. In conclusion, moving forward is the solution we have if we want to change past events and fight for a better community. But that is not without rebuilding our relationships. Us staying in the past and feeling down for ourselves will not change the present. So ladies, gents, and non-binary babes, and children, let us stand together, fight together, but more importantly, learn and support each other. Unity is about coming together that can only be done by recognizing the differences that we have, accepting those differences, and figuring out how to positively deal with those differences. As Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite, even though he is white, he's one of my favorite presidents, but some people are like that, once stated, I'm a strong individualist by personal habit, inheritance, and conviction. But it is mere matter of common sense to recognize that the state, the community, citizens acting together can do a number of things better if they were left to individual action. Thank you.
So you've heard some pretty powerful words. Personal challenges for you all, hopefully. Things that you will probably want to reflect upon as we move forward in such a kind of polarized time, really. I don't know if we've been, at least in my lifetime anyways, and it's only been 45 years, I haven't seen our society as polarized as we are today. So I'm hoping at some point with the struggles that we seem to be dealing with today, that we find ways in which we can bridge those gaps. One of the things I commonly say for myself is the biggest diversity challenge that I have in terms of acceptance are those people who think differently than I do. I seem to accept very well people who physically look different than I do, who practice their faith different than I do, who express their gender in a different manner. I can accept all those things as part of a larger community, or part of my community. The area where I struggle with the most, personally, is those folks who think differently than I do. And I think a lot of folks struggle with that too, especially today. So, those words from the Poetry Club, outstanding. Thank you so much. Reminding us that women play an important role in that unity. I really appreciate that. Today, if you haven't noticed, is Women's History Month. Typically, we do this event at the end of Black History Month, so they actually coalesce. They come together. So actually, we're just doing it one day out of Black History Month, and on the very first day of Women's History Month. So I wanted to let you know that it was kind of intentional, but not, because the room wasn't available yesterday. So it just actually happens that it actually works out better, so we can actually honor Women's History Month with that regard. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Rachel Caffin-Weber. Is she here still? Yes? Okay, great. I'm going to introduce Rachel. Rachel, she is last year's recipient of the Gary Westford, who is also here. Gary? Yeah, here. Where's Gary? Gary, come on up. the award named after him, the Community Connections Award. And then Rachel will follow him with the nominees for the Gary Westford Community Connection Award, as well as the winner for 2017. So first, Gary will start us off, and then we'll go next to Rachel after that.
It's truly a great honor for me to be back at LB. And I'd like to begin just very, very briefly by telling you a true story about a dream that came true. In 1965, when I was 18 years old, I went to a community college in the Bay Area. It was called Chabot. And beginning in 1965, lights began to go on for me because of instructors like the ones and staff who are here in this room today. In 2001, my dream truly came true when I became a full-time art instructor and art history instructor here at Lynn Benton Community College. And I was blessed to work with many of the people who are in this room and with many students like yourselves who are in this room this morning, or actually this afternoon now. So this is, in a way, is just me briefly saying to the students here, the assembled students especially, that your dreams can come true and that you need to speak the truth. We need it more than we ever did. And what I just heard from these young poets and from our speaker was the truth. We need to separate BS from reality. We need to get what's real. Okay? And that's our mission. That's our mission for all of us. We need to be engaged, and we need to move the ball forward with this country and with the world. This was already a great nation, so don't let anyone fool you. This was already a great nation. All right? Okay. So, I believe in art. I believe in an artist like Keith Haring back there, who was an openly gay man who lived his life as such, and whose artwork is about friendship and unity and bridging the gaps that divide us and allowing us to come together. So I'm heartened by the fact that young poets and artists like Keith Haring and films like Moonlight, all right, are around to remind us of our true humanity. That's the real deal, all right? So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for naming an award for me. Another dream come true, and I want to thank you so much.
I'm Rachel Weber, and I'm Assistant Director in the Office of International Services at OSU. And last year, our office is the one that won the award. At that point, it was called International Student Advising and Services, but it's the same group, different name. So I feel very honored to be able to come back and actually get to give out this year's awards and nominees. So without further ado, and Gary, thank you for this award. So, as you may or may not know, the Gary Westford Community Connection Award recognizes an organization that connects with LBCC and helps the college carry out its important work of diversity, inclusion, social justice, and equity. The nominees for this year's Gary Westford Community Connection Award are the following. And you can come up, please. First is Josephine Fleetwood. Josephine Fleetwood has been nominated for supporting women, low-income, high-achieving, and rural high school students into skilled jobs in the community. Thank you. Thank you, Josephine. I would also like to have Ismail Rasami come up. He's in my office, and so I'm super excited about this. But anyway, Ismail, we're recognizing you for your work providing support to LBCC leadership cohorts to further understanding of Muslim students on our campus. So thank you, Ismail. Lina Demarai. Lina, you've been nominated for your generous work across the state of Oregon for student veterans and supporting students' mental health. And finally, the award goes to Rodney and Diane Vigner, owners of the Pix Theater, for their continued investment in the community. So Rodney and Diane, please come up. And you get to stand here while I tell other beautiful things about you. So the nominees for this this said that Pix Theater generously hosted an event in conjunction with the DAC and LBCC to provide a free screening of the film Selma. Did anybody get to go? Okay. The screening took place over Martin Luther King Jr. weekend and was an inclusive and educational event. The theater helped to facilitate discussion before and following the screening as well. The Pix Theater partnered with LBCC and the Human Rights Commission to show Selma during MLK weekend. The nominator said, "I think this film is incredibly important for our history and understanding of the nation, and I am so glad that Pix partnered with LBCC." So thank you both.
Congratulations to everybody who was nominated and to the Pix Theater especially for the continued partnership with us. We really appreciate that. We're actually working on another film to show partner with the Pix Theater, the film Cesar Chavez. April 22nd, I think we were looking for. I'll put it in writing so it actually happens, okay? So April 22nd, we'll be showing that film there as well. We're planning on having that with high school students in addition to community members, hopefully folks from the college as well attending that. And everyone here who's here on that particular morning can actually come and enjoy that film with us as well. So with that said, I want to invite Shireen Wilrick-Obel to join us. She was last year's recipient of the Ana Fuentes Unity Award for faculty members. She is going to recognize the Ana Fuentes Award for the faculty, staff, student nominees, and the award winners for 2017.
There, I'm short, but I don't think I'm that Sorry. It's okay, I love you. So, the first thing I want to say is thank you again to Gary Westford for all that he's done before you retired to establish this award. It's made a difference in our campus, and it's made a difference in my life. Gary is very humble, and some of you who are newer to the campus might not know that a lot of the art that graces the walls, he donated from his private, personal connection. In the Learning Center, which was remodeled in 2008, we didn't have funds for art, and every single piece of significance that's in the Learning Center was donated by Gary Westford. So, I mean, I'm really appreciative of that. And I'm sorry for the CEO. I usually have a So the other thing that I wanted to say was last year I was a recipient of this award, And it was a funny day. The first thing that we're going to do is nominate the faculty, and I have the pleasure to work with an outstanding faculty at LBCC. They're very dedicated. I have to tell you, last year in the same position at the same time, it was like herding cats. Scott Rowland from HR was doing everything to get my rear end over here, and I was saying, no, I have to do this. No, I have to do it. Yeah, I know. I know they have food, but no. And he said, okay, Shireen, you got to go. And you have to go now, because Javier is texting me, get her over here. So, hopefully all of the awards are here, and without further ado, I'm honored to be able to recognize my fellow and sister faculty here. I get to give out the awards for the Annalie Fuentes Unity Award. This award recognizes faculty, staff, and students who are currently employed or studying part-time or full-time who have demonstrated a commitment to bringing awareness to and advancing diversity and social justice on the LBCC campus via class assignments, campus and/or committee group work, or any other activity that addresses diversity and social justice. Sitting members of the Values, Inclusion, and Cultural Engagement Council, also known as VICE, are wonderfully eligible or worthy of getting this award, but they are not eligible for getting it, unfortunately. So, although they do need recognition, I think we should recognize the members of the VICE committee. Are there any here? Let's just do this. We're going to start with the faculty. The faculty, come up here? Sure. Okay. The faculty nominees for 2017 were first Liz Pierce. Robin Havenick. Joyce Thompson Graham. This is not the Academy Awards. We will make it sure. Oh no. Matt Usner. And finally, Scott McAleer. And not so finally, Ian Priestman. So all of these great faculty up here are were nominated, but the award recipient for 2017 is Robin Havenick. Let me say a few things that her nominator wrote about her this year. Robin is a tireless advocate for issues concerning diversity, equity, and social justice. She has woven these concerns into the very fabric of her teaching and her life outside of teaching. Robin has been involved with the Unity celebration since its inception and has coordinated beautiful poetry presentations at this event. In her teaching, she conceived of and developed the African American Literature course, which continues to enroll more and more students. In her other classes, she frequently integrates readings that encourage students to widen their perspectives on diversity. If there is a diversity presentation on campus, she is there with her students. If there is a march outside of campus, she is there marching. Robin's passion for diversity issues is inspiring to both students and her colleagues, and she is highly deserving of this award. Thank you so much. Next, we will recognize staff. So faculty have one role and staff have another equally important role in contributing to the success of our students. And so I'm so happy and honored to be able to talk about the award to the staff member. So the nominees for 2017 are Carol Raimundo, Claire Sabatka, and Victoria Fridley. And the winner is Victoria Fridley. Victoria's nominator wrote the following. The Learning Center's Writing Center Coordinator, Victoria Fridley, embodies the values described by the Annalee Fuentes Unity Award. Through Victoria's leadership and social justice philosophy, the Writing Center provides all students meaningful interactions that increase their confidence and writing skill. Victoria facilitates remarkable growth and transformation through consultations marked by respect and deep listening. Students gain awareness that they have important ideas and experiences to convey, often for the first time in their lives. Many marginalized students first claim their voice and develop trust in their capacity to think critically in the Writing Center, and Victoria deserves recognition for facilitating such a calm, inclusive learning space. So thank you so much. We come to the students. The following students were nominated for the award this year: Alyssa Campbell, Eric Slider, Munir El Jamal, Seth Koklemba, Christopher Mickelson. These students are awesome, really. If you don't know them, you should. The winner for the student category is Eric Slider. Here's what the nominator said. Eric, President of Student Life and Leadership, has worked hard for the voice and needs of the LBCC student body. He has worked on several college councils and brought back free printing for students. He was successful in advocating for tutor-assisted study support for chemistry physics students and was a major supporter of online educational resources that save significant amounts of money for students, in the hundreds of thousands, I understand. Okay, in the millions, he prayed. As he will, because he's very smart. He also initiated the discussions and a vital part of the implementation of the student phone app, LB Live, which becomes more and more popular every day. And something that's not in here is that he's also one of the founding members of the group trying to get the campus-wide celebration for the solar eclipse happening on August 21st going as well. Eric thinks of others before himself and is always inclusive and empathetic of all students. So can you give a hand to Eric? Thank you.
So I almost fumbled the awards and I almost knocked over our speaker, and that's all on film, by the way, because it's actually being recorded. And I think that's going to live in infamy, unfortunately. So, yeah. So I promised to get you all out of here by 6:30, and it's actually about a little, not going according to that clock, but about 10 after 6, so we have time to party afterwards. Not after we have some closing remarks, however, from our chair of the Unity Celebration, who's been very, very instrumental in actually making this whole thing go around. So, Cherise, please.
You always call me Shireen, by the way.
Cherise, join me. Cherise Bunn, join me, and just bring it close to the evening, and we can enjoy the rest of the festivities. Please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, can we give another round of applause for all the recipients and nominees? You all do amazing work. So y'all bring art to all of us, and it's so appreciated. So again, I really appreciate what you shared with us, and good luck on everything. She is hireable, so please, everyone, send her, talk to her at the end of this. I actually found out yesterday that I was going to have to give the closing remarks, thanks to Christopher, in the committee meeting, so thank you so much for that. And I wrote them down so that I don't mess up, but it's been a pleasure to be able to celebrate the work we've all been doing towards diversity and inclusion and social justice here with all of you. So together, I truly believe we're actually working to create a better world, and that's awesome to actually see people and faces and be able to connect that together. I do want to say that this work is only the beginning. So yes, we're here. I always cry. But anyway, we're only in the beginning of this work. So creating equitable, diverse, and inclusive communities takes work, sweat, and tears. The fact that you're here in this room symbolizes the fact that you're willing to actually work towards creating a united front, and that is amazing. One thing I did want to talk about was the idea of creating unity through conflict and resistance. Today, we recognize the Pix Theater for showing Selma for the community over MLK weekend. Now, there's a part in the film when MLK met with LBJ, who, if y'all know, LBJ was the president, and he met with the president, and he told the Reverend Dr. King told the president that that he wasn't going to stand down. Essentially, LBJ is asking him, come on, dude, just go with the flow. And he's kind of like, no, I'm sorry, we're done. We have this has to happen now. Voting right, we need this. No more. And quite frankly, that's what we need. So saying no, resisting, that is important in order to be able to actually create a more equitable, unique, amazing world for all of us to live in. As we work towards creating a united community, know that there's going to be conflict. And quite frankly, we just have to be okay with it. We can't shy away from that because that is what's going to help us actually move forward. Not everyone's going to agree with one another. It's not going to happen. But when you look around this room, so I've kept telling people, please meet people. I told the committee, you can't hang out with yourselves, even though I even hung out with them a little bit. I said, you need to meet other people here because these people in this room are the people you need to connect with, and they're the people you need to get to know better, and they're the ones that when it gets really rough and it gets frustrating and we want to cry and we don't think we can actually move forward and unite, these are the people in this room that you can turn to and actually connect with and feel support and actually start to move forward together. So while we still have that clock is fast, by the way, by about 10 minutes. So while we have our 20 minutes before 6:30, let's continue to celebrate and build connections. Meet somebody you haven't met before, and just get to know them because there's going to be difficult conversations and there's going to be conflicts. But we're all in this together, so we might as well make the most of it. Thank you.
If you got a framed copy or a framed certificate, look on the back. There is a little surprise for you on the back. Don't hang it up on your wall because the thing actually expires in 90 days. So that's it. Please enjoy the libations. The rest, we have food left over, obviously, so please make yourself another plate. Let's play some music and hang out and just enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much, everybody.